Don't rent to anyone until you watch these 5 costly mistakes that destroy landlords. Vacancies and turnovers. There's a lot more vacancies and turnovers. I've had 3 turnovers in the last 3, 4, 5 months. And it's got me reflecting upon, okay, how are we talking to these prospective tenants? Okay, so 5 big red flags is what I'm going to talk about today. Things that I've learned as a landlord over the last 20 years. And the big question that comes up a lot with my cash damming clients is, can you continue rental cash damming while your unit is empty and you're looking for a new tenant? Hello, everyone. My name is Sylvia Ho, and I'm a financial landlord consultant. I'm also a mortgage agent, and I empower landlords with financial strategies to help them save money, reduce the taxes that they pay, and cut the interest that they pay the banks. I'm also known as the cash damming queen. All right, so if you like my weekly trainings, please like, please comment, please love, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to talk about 5 red flags that come up on a regular basis when I am looking at tenants. The first red flag that comes up is, why are you waiting last minute to find a place? Like it's the end of the month right now and you want to move in how many days? Right? That's a huge red flag to me. And for me, I'd want to dig a lot deeper as to, okay, what is going on? It could be a totally legit reason, but I want to know what's going on. Are you being kicked out? Are you being irresponsible? Why are you waiting till last minute? Did you get declined on something? I want to know the full story. And if there's hesitation in the story or it's unclear or things don't make sense, I'd be like, hard pass. Like, as much as I want to rent it out in the next couple of days, I'm not renting it out to someone who just doesn't sit right with me. So I'm going to tell you right now, go with your gut instinct, have that conversation with that prospective tenant. Know their story. So KYC, know the tenant's story. What is going on? Who are they? What are they doing? Are they working? Are they a student? Why are they looking for a place to rent? Wait, hold on for 2 seconds. You work out in the West End. Why are you living out in the East End? That doesn't make sense. I wouldn't do that. Why are you doing that? Now, just because I won't do it doesn't mean other people won't do it. But there has to be a reason, right? People don't just randomly live wherever they want to live, right? So KYC, know this prospective tenant. And is this tenant an ideal tenant for you? For example, I have a bachelor unit up on the market right now. And if an application came through where they're like, oh, we want to put 4 people in a bachelor unit that's 350 square feet, I'd be like, no, why are we doing that? Like, what's going on? This is not a, put as many people or mattresses on the floor as possible so that you could all live in a bachelor unit. So figure out who your ideal client, your ideal prospect, your ideal tenant is. So for a bachelor unit, it would be a single individual, probably someone who just graduated from university, living with parents. This is their first time out. They work downtown. They don't want to travel. Those tenants make sense to me. That story makes sense to me. Or maybe it's a young couple who recently got married and they want to live in a bachelor because they want to eventually save up down payment for a place to buy, and they want to keep costs low, and a bachelor unit is keeping costs low. Okay, I get it. That makes sense. So number 1 is know your client. Why are you waiting things till the last minute? Is this an ideal tenant for you? Right, that's the first thing. Second thing, call the references, my friends. The references don't typically say bad things, right? Because they put the references down because they're going to say good things, right? So things that I will ask a reference is question, hey, by the way, do you know so-and-so smokes, takes drugs, drinks? And you'll get to know that person a little bit more other than, hey, would you rent out to this person, right? Of course, it'd be like, of course I'll rent out to this person. This is a friend of mine, right? So I will ask them, hey, do you know if so-and-so smokes or drinks? And then you'll get more of a story. I'll also ask them a question. It's like, oh, how would you describe this particular tenant or this particular friend of yours? Give me 3 adjectives, and then people will say good things about them. And then if they don't, then I don't know, they might have to choose new friends. But anyways, so I'll ask them, what are the 3 adjectives that would describe your friend? And then other questions I was asked them is like, how long have you known them? How did you get to know them? Was it through work? Was it through church? Was it through friends? Common friends? And that gets you a little bit more into the personal side of who they are. For the landlord, that's a little bit more difficult because a landlord who's trying to get rid of a tenant won't say bad things about that particular tenant. So that's going to be a tough one. But questions that you would typically ask is, have they ever been late on the rent? How much was their rent? How long did they live there for? That gives you better ideas, and you can compare that to the application. Okay. So call the references, call the landlords, call the friends, call the employers. And if they're all putting down their friends there, say, I need somebody from like work. Right. So definitely, I think the biggest thing that I would tell landlords is use your gut feeling on how you feel this particular client is. Okay. So that's the second thing, call your references. Third thing is, okay, so this is where I put on my mortgage agent hat, my friends. And, I've had like my realtors tell me, I was like, oh, this person is really good. They have really good beacon score. I understand that beacon scores and credit bureaus is not everybody's jam. It's my jam because I'm a mortgage agent. I see credit bureaus on a regular basis for the last 24 years. So my friends, a high beacon score does not mean that the client has good credit. Okay, let me repeat that again. A high beacon score does not mean that person has good credit. So let's dive a little bit into credit bureaus. Like I could talk forever about credit bureaus, but let's dive a little bit deeper. Anybody who has a T4 individual T4 individual, I would expect their credit score to be above 680. And that's anything above 680, 720, that's great. Okay. There are beacon scores that are like 900. You're like, oh my goodness, this person has really good credit. But actually they don't. Someone who has a 680 would be a person that I would rent out to versus someone who has 900. And let me explain to you why. Okay. How do credit bureaus work? That's the first thing. So someone who has a 900 beacon score could be someone who just got their first credit card. And it's a limit of $1,000 and they've used it for 2 months. That person will have a 900 credit score because the credit bureau has nothing to look at in history-wise to see whether this person has good credit or bad credit. Okay, so a big part of looking at beacon scores is to check out, looking at credit is to check out how long the history is on that particular credit cards. So question is that would you think that from a bank's perspective, someone who has a 900 beacon score and has one credit card and it's only a limit of $1,000 and has had it for only 2 months versus someone who has $10,000 in credit debt but they've been on the credit bureau for over 5 years and they have a 690 beacon score and they've never been late on their credit cards, the banks would rather lend to that individual because they have a better history. So the bottom line is that your credit history will give you a guideline as to your future actions on your history. So looking back at your history will more likely tell you what's going on with what will happen in your future history. So when it comes to credit check, please, high beacon scores do not mean that they're a good tenant. You have to look into the actual meat and potatoes of the credit bureau. I think I'll do some training on it later on. But so just make sure you look into like how many credit cards do they have? What are the limits? How long have they had it for? Those are things that you're going to look into. Okay. Next, employment. When did they start their job? Is it a stable job or are they bouncing back and forth between different positions? Look at their pay stubs. Probably similar to your pay stub. Look at their year to date. If this person makes $100,000 let's make an easy number, $120,000 a year, that means they get $10,000 each month. And if they told you that they've been working there for 6 months, you would expect a year to date of $60,000. But if there's only a year to date of $10,000, then you'd be like, oh, wait, hold on for a sec. That does not make sense, right? And you got to dig a little bit deeper. Maybe it does make sense. Maybe they just started at the job. Maybe they got transferred and they got a better, another position, and their base pay changed and all that stuff. So the bottom line is, when you look at employment, look at how long they've been working there, look at the 3-year history, and also look at their year to date as to, okay, does this make sense? And definitely call the employer, my friends. There's a job letter for a reason. So paperwork that I get from all of my prospective tenants is job letter, pay stub, T4. I will also get references, and I will also call the references. So that's what I would do as a landlord, is to get all of that paperwork. I also want to, if I can get their bank statements, I would like to also see their bank statements to know that they have a history and they have that money saved up. Now, there are different people that say, oh, you're not allowed to look at that stuff. You're not allowed to look at this stuff. And I was like, okay, that's okay. You don't have to give it to me, but I'm not going to consider your application. And that's okay. That's okay. That's not an issue whatsoever. If you want to go somewhere else, you're okay. That's okay. But I would like to know you a little bit more. Okay. So I gave you a bunch of red flags to look at when you are looking at a prospective tenant. So a question that comes up a lot is, Sylvia, I'm rental cash damming right now. The unit is empty because I'm in between tenants. Can I rental cash dam? And the answer is yes. Yes, you absolutely can. There's a very specific way how you do it. To do it properly, you must have proper tracking. You must do the transfers properly. But yes, you can absolutely do it. My property was vacant for 2 months. Yeah, 2 months before a new tenant moved in, and I rental cash them. That's not a problem. I just didn't have rental income come in, but I used the line of credit to pay for all the expenses. So it really helps during those, vacancy times where you don't have to bring out money. So if you're a landlord and you have vacancies coming up, what typically you would do is you got to cover the expenses, right? So typically, if you don't have the rental income coming in, you will bring out your own money to pay for those rental expenses. But with rental cash damming, you don't have to do that at all. So if you're interested in learning more about rental cash damming, please touch base with me. Comment below, Sylvia, I'd like to learn about rental cash damming. Put up your hand, say me. And then what I'll do is I'll send over a link to you, and then we can get onto a call and we can chat, right? Also, I have a list of questions that you can ask prospective tenants. If you would like the checklist, please comment checklist below, and I'd be happy to send that over to you. All right, my friends, thanks so much for listening. My name is Sylvia Ho, and I'm a financial landlord consultant. I work with landlords to help them save money, save taxes, and reduce the interest that they pay. And if you like my weekly training, please, my friends, comment, love, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let me know that you guys are hearing me and that you want to hear more of this stuff. It encourages me to make more of these training videos. Take care, my friends. Bye now.